it's the end of an era. It's been at Fort A.P. Hill in Virginia since early 70s, and maybe mid 70s, and it's no longer going to be there. So this will be the last one at Fort A.P. Hill, and then to open up the new permanent site, the Boy Scouts of America announced a couple months ago that they are getting close to Kentucky. They couldn't quite make it. We actually did have a site in the running initially in the selection process, but they have purchased a parcel of land in Fayette County, West Virginia. That's going to become the permanent National Jamboree site and the 4th National High Adventure Base. Why that's significant, one, it's really close, relatively speaking, to us. It will be very convenient, but it's also going to become like an East Coast training center. Right now, the Boy Scouts of America operates a national training center at Philmont Scout Ranch in New Mexico. It's wonderful. Have any of y'all been to Philmont? I tell you, it's a special place. It's a special place. It is hard to get there. I don't care where you come from. You think it's something getting into Albuquerque. Well, once you make it either Albuquerque or Colorado Springs, the adventure's just begun to get all the way down to Cimarron. And so it is a very neat thing that another national training center site is going to open also right here in West Virginia. So we'll have a lot more access, and all of the National High Adventure Bases, today there's 3. There's Philmont Scout Ranch, which is 132,000 acres, if you can imagine that kind of scope, in the mountains there of New Mexico. We have the Northern Tier High Adventure Base in Ely, Minnesota, which is rivers and portages and canoe based. Philmont's hiking based and reenactment. And then we have the sea base, our high adventure program in the Florida Keys, which is on sailing, scuba, those type of things. So these highlight activities. There are kids from our council that go to each of these every year. And I go out on a limb, I'll tell you, there's kids from Winchester who have been on these trips. We send groups every year to these places, in addition to running our own little gym out there at Camp McKee. Near and dear to us, because when you're like me, I'm from a small little railroad town in North Carolina called Hampton. No real reason to know of it, although it's a great place to be from. It's the kind of place where people probably still don't necessarily lock their doors, and they're not worried about stuff like that. But for us, it was a thrill just to think about going to scout camp, and for us that was an hour and a half away, and seemed like forever. And so it's amazing how small your world is, and then it can be big. But for tons of kids in central and eastern Kentucky, that place here is Camp McKee, right down the road between on Montgomery Power Line, right outside of Clay City. So I know y'all are probably very familiar with it, but it's a special place to generations of kids. And this summer is our 50th at that location. Before that, the council camp was actually Camp Offutt. And the story about how that came to be is directly tied to civic clubs, believe it or not. In that case, some folks from the Rotary Club in Lexington Dr. Offutt decided they were going to try to create this. And so he actually gave it to the Rotary Club to hold in trust for scouting. And so for years and years that operated, and then as scouting grew and reached more and more kids, needed a bigger place. And the family consented, and the club said okay, and they allowed that property to be sold, and the proceeds used to help purchase the McKee Scout Reservation and then to develop it. So it's a gift that keeps on giving, and that wisdom and that foresight is serving kids today. So lots of anniversaries. We're 100 years old. Georgia's Troop 75. Camp McKee's 50. Birthdays are great. Milestones are wonderful as we think about them.